Well, hello there. Welcome to another episode of Just Jaina. I have a fun story for you, and then I'm going to end this episode on a very deep note, but you'll have to keep watching to find out. I just want to say that life sucks sometimes, and little things happen that just totally derail your momentum, your gusto. And that is, I recorded this perfect episode, and at the very end, I totally mess up. I totally mess up. I give a wrong fact, and I am like, I can't edit this out because everything is connected to this, so I have to restart. Oh my gosh, how analogous that is to the game Fallout Shelter that I've been playing. Oh my goodness. That's right. This episode has to do with that game Fallout Shelter. I just started playing it only a few weeks ago, and the game has been out for years, but I'm typically slow to get into trends, such as Game of Thrones and whatnot. So, anyway, I'm going to record this episode. I'm not going to stop because I did a few takes after, and all my I almost said jizz. All my jizz was depleted, but that is very not appropriate. I'll just say all my gusto was depleted. But this is my final take, because this is just Jaina. You're seeing me, live in the wild, making mistakes constantly. If you expected no mistakes, there are better YouTube channels for you. I am pretty much learning this as I go. So, enough of that. Fallout Shelter has given me so much wisdom through my failures in that game. Not wisdom specific to that game, but wisdom that can be applied all over. And I promise to do an episode of what I have learned from Fallout Shelter about life. That's going to be a really fun episode, and probably a bit long because there's a lot of things from that game that I've learned about, like taking risks, exploring, preparing, responding to things going wrong, what is good and bad luck, as you learned from the last episode, and so much more. It's a great game that is rich with meaning if you search it out. So this story I have, titled A Girl Named Daniel, comes from the game Fallout Shelter. You see, I had lost 3 precious vaults. I put over a dozen hours into each one, building it up to 50 dwellers. I trained, I got resources, I upgraded weapons and armor. I thought I was ready, and I was just pumping out babies left and right. Then I hit 50 dwellers. Little did I know that at 50 dwellers, you attract a much larger, more vicious type of monster. One that comes with radiation that slowly bleeds away, chokes you dry, suffocates you. And my vault was obliterated. Everyone died. I'd spent all my money reviving people. No more stim or med packs to heal the damages. It was gone. I cried. Thank you, hormones. I just cried profusely, and then that cry slowly faded into laughter as I realized how similar this is to life and what I've been through in my transformative journey. Oh my goodness. When you see a mirror reflection of your life in a game or a book or a movie, you just have this blissful, euphoric, bittersweet moment where you could almost tolerate the taste of the bad because it brings sweet wisdom. Yes. So I started a new vault post haste. And I vowed on this vault I am going to take things slow and steady. I'm going to expand only gradually. I'm going to make sure everything I do is purpose driven. And I am not going to let those radiated zombies get the best of me. No, not Jaina. A love story emerged in that vault. When a man met a woman, and they took a little bit of a trip to the residential lounge while everyone else was putting out a fire or something. And they made sweet, passionate love. And thus, in a few hours later, a baby emerged. That's right, cisgender females, like a 3-hour pregnancy. I wish that upon any cisgender female, like anyone. a 3-hour pregnancy. But I guess this is a side thought. There is much to be learned in the 9 months of pregnancy, I could imagine, that prepare you for parenthood. And if it really did happen in 3 hours, I think the mother would be unprepared. But that's just a theory, and I'm not qualified to give that answer. Even as a self-identified female, I am not qualified to give opinions on pregnancy. But, yes, it was a 3-hour pregnancy, and a boy emerged. Or so I thought. This boy looked male, and in the end, I'll just spoil it for you, turned out not to be male. But the game has different caricatures and portraits for male and female children, and this one happened to look very masculine. So I didn't even look at his name. I just went straight into the name edit screen when he was born and changed his name to Daniel Day. His last name was Day, and I always keep the last name, and I changed the first name to alliterate with it, as I like alliteration. It's just fun and bouncy. Daniel Day. I thought that was the perfect name. So he was born, raised, matured, and trained in that vault. Quite some time had passed since I had checked in on Daniel, so I gave him a closer look. Like, how are you growing up? What's your level? What weapon and armor do you have equipped? What's your stats? Where can I put you for most efficient productivity? Then I saw that his grown-up portrait didn't quite match his child portrait. It was an obvious as day female. That's right. I had born and raised a girl named Daniel. That is significant to me because when I had this child, I like to create narratives and storylines when people fall in love and how they fall in love, and like how the parents sneak away at some point and go to this room and create a human being, a mouth to feed, a mouth to drink, increasing the water and supply demand. But they did it in secret, and Daniel was born, and they kept Daniel a secret. But you can't keep something underground when you're living underground. So Daniel had to make his face known in the vault, and everyone saw him and befriended him, and he grew up, and he was quite masculine, but it turns out it wasn't a he, it was a she. But here's the thing about Daniel, as I later narrated. She embraced the masculine nature of her name and her physical appearances, and she was proud to be Daniel. No, she did not embrace her identity as masculine. She embraced femininity, but she embraced her name, Daniel. And so it happened. When I realized this, I had a gut feeling. And that gut feeling I get often. Usually when there's something to learn about something, I get a gut feeling. And that gut feeling was the universe, or God, or a higher power, whatever how you want to paint that picture. That higher power was telling me, this is a story of your life. Everyone thinks you're a boy. Everyone treats you like a boy. They even name you like a boy. But you're a girl. But unlike Daniel, I embrace my identity as female ever since I discovered it. She did not. She simply accepted her birth gender and embraced her masculine aspects. So more of a gender fluid type of person. And I felt like this was worth sharing. Even though it's a really silly, trivial story, this is worth sharing because you might be, like me, someone who was born and raised, treated as male, named masculine, given masculine toys, and told to hang out with masculine people to solidify that societal norm. But one day you realize, no, I'm a girl. And then you make the decision what you do with that. That is my story. And now for something completely different. Because I have something to read you. And I'm going to leave it without context. And all I will say is it's a a hint at things to come. If you liked my last episode on luck and fortune, then you're certainly going to love this episode coming up, simply titled Time. Here's what I wrote. Life is a prison. Time is the guard. However, the cell doors are not locked, yet people choose to remain inside while time raps on the metal bars, exhibiting its supposed authority. I left my jail cell 6 months ago, to be exact. I decided to see what remains and exists beyond those metal bars. Time noticed, of course. It did much to deter me, but time did not have the power to stop me. Nor does it have the power to stop anyone to live beyond the constraints of time. Sure, in the end, time will empty our cell, or the prison halls, or the prison rooms of our lifeless bodies. But time stops there. Perhaps where we go beyond is up for time's master to decide. If there is no master, then let my story be known for at least being bold enough to dream that this prison is an analogy of life. An analogy for a story that's playing out magnitudes greater than our limited minds can conjure. That is that. I will share a link to that comment, which is actually a YouTube comment, in the comments. And remember, that's a hint of things to come. You see, I have a very romantic relationship with time. I always have, and I think certain types of people do, with unique mindscapes. So I treat time as a sort of tool in life, but I do not let it affect me, or shake me, or convince me, or hold me back. And you'll learn why in the episode I hinted, and perhaps I give a little bit more spoilers than I wish to have given, but you know what? That's your gift for today. Don't let time bully you. Don't let it exert its authority as a prison guard. You can walk outside that jail cell and you can explore. And don't let time stop you. And it's not just about time. I will let you interpret this how you wish. This is how I interpret it. All right. Thank you for this wonderful episode of Just Jaina.